Hey there, and welcome to the Confident Woman Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Brooks. Join me as I sit down and chat with co-hosts, friends, and carefully curated guests and talk about all the things that empower you to become your best and most confident self. So, let's get started. Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of the Confident Woman Podcast. So today, I want to talk about something that we all need, but don't prioritize enough, and that is rest. In our fast-paced society that we're constantly going, it can feel like we're always this need to be on, that we always have to produce or be productive or just nonstop going, right? Oh, it's exhausting. And what we found though is that incorporating more rest into life and throughout our day, like setting these little breaks and periods of time where we can step away from whatever it is that we're working on, instead of having that mindset and that drive that you have to plow through and just keep going and you'll rest when the project's done or the task is done, or you hear that saying, oh, well, we'll rest when we're dead, right? That's BS. So recognizing that, how much better do you feel when you wake up in the morning or when you've stepped away from something and you come back to it? You feel refreshed, you feel rejuvenated, you feel like you've got a whole new space between your project and the reality, right? So I think it's important to really recognize that and giving yourself the space in between to do what you need to do to recoup and recover and reset, rest and recharge. So how can we incorporate more of a rest period in our busy lives? Well, that's what I'm working on to identify for myself as well. And of course, I got to share my tips because, well, if they're helping me, why not pass it on, right? So here are a few tips that are definitely working for me. And the first one is taking breaks throughout the day. Like I said, having that fresh perspective when you've gotten up and stepped away from whatever it is you're working on and coming back. And it's like you've cleared your mind and your mind has had a moment to breathe and come back with a fresh new perspective, a new take on it, right? So I think when we're plowing through our work, we get that tunnel vision where it's just go. And we don't even see at this point what we're actually working on. We're just chipping away. And it's kind of like that. I always use that example of the Monet painting. Like far away, it's beautiful, but up close, it's a big old mess. It's the same thing with when we're working intently on something. The intensity is there and we are just driving and it feels like it's getting smaller and smaller and tighter. And allowing us to step away gives us that perspective where we can really see things through a fresh lens and a different point of view. So whether your break means just stepping away, literally from your computer and, just do what you got to do around the house for a few moments, or going for a quick walk outside, which is a huge refresher for me, or just simply pushing your computer away or whatever it is and taking a few deep breaths. And that's probably the easiest thing you could do. Literally give yourself some deep breaths, taking small breaks to really just that was a simple breath, an inhale and an exhale. But how often do we even allow ourselves to do that? And how calming that is from our brain to our lungs, to our hearts, right? It keeps us grounded and keeps us centered. It allows us to have that clarity of mind so we can actually increase our productivity. Isn't that really what we're trying to do? So next up is prioritizing our sleep. So getting enough quality sleep is so important for our overall health and well-being. And when I say that, it's for your mental, your emotional, your physical, and even your spiritual health and well-being. Like our soul needs the rest. So making sure that we are giving ourselves enough time to rest and creating a bedtime routine that works for you. I know that routines come in different shapes and sizes and they vary, but I think it's just important to really recognize that you have that bedtime routine just as is to set the front end of your day, which is your morning routine. So I always think of it as the two bookends. You wake up, you have your morning routine, you go about your day, and then you bookend it with your nighttime routine. So that could be something as simple as maybe going for a long walk, right? To kind of decompress your mind if you work from home. That could be something where you sit down and take some time to reflect. Maybe that's journaling. Maybe it's a long bath or a long shower. It's just something for you that really seals in the day and makes you feel a little bit more calmer. So by the time you are ready for bed, your body and mind have had a time to really just be even keel. Like they're in sync and your mind's not racing and your heart's not racing, like, oh my gosh, I didn't get all the stuff done. What am I going to do? You're actually at a place where you can like just slip into silence and fall asleep. And that has been very helpful, especially for me, because they said, if you leave me to my own devices, I will work all day because I love it. And it's not work from like, it doesn't feel like work. I love what I do and I do what I love. But sometimes we have to have those boundaries and parameters to say, okay, you could finish this up in the morning. No matter how much time you sacrifice from your sleep, this thing isn't necessarily going to get done. And if it does it get done well? Right? So we have to allow ourselves that cutoff time to really decompress and step away from the crazy busyness of our day. So scheduling that downtime is so important. And that's, something you can maybe set an alarm for on your phone to just remind you, okay, shut down, quiet time, whatever that looks like, and give yourself ample time to know you might need an hour to decompress, 30 minutes decompress, or longer. Like me, I need hours to decompress. And putting that into your schedule, just fit it in as if it was something, a work meeting, an appointment. These are important pieces in your life, and you should not be second or third or fourth in the totem pole. Is that make yourself that priority. And when we talk about getting quality sleep, we talk about quality and quantity. So I always say shoot for 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. And that is where you get all your sleep cycles. You go to bed, you wake up refreshed. And I know that not everybody has the 7 to 9 hours, but that's why we're talking about this here, because a meeting can wait, your work can wait, the next day can wait, because we don't even know if we're gifted with tomorrow, right? So take today and make the best of it and incorporate that additional time for you, because you'll be a better you tomorrow. And so when we talk about the mindfulness and quieting that mind for this bedtime routine that I have that I would love to share as well, is just really practicing that mindfulness. Set a meditation or an intention. I know some people like to do yoga or just ways to stretch to reduce stress, not only just in our minds, but our body, right? We hold a lot of stress and tension in our neck, in our shoulders, and especially in our hips, especially if we're sitting all day. So giving ourselves that movement to stretch and to reduce the stress elements of it. So maybe that could be something about a long bath or, stretching after you're warmed up from the bath and now you can go into bed, and maybe you put on a 10-minute meditation and you can set the sleep timer on there, which is cool, because then next thing you know, you just slipped right into sleep and your phone shut off, and next thing you know, you wake up and you're like, oh my goodness, I just had the best night's sleep. I feel so refreshed. So those are things that I'm working on and I thought was really helpful, and just really positive changes have come from just rearranging some of my routine to accommodate the things and the seasons that I'm in. So, naturally these things are really meant to reduce your stress, slow you down, and really just overall improve mental, physical, emotional, and again, your spiritual health and well-being. So incorporating lots of rest, lots of breaks, a lot of just stepping away, less work is I guess what I'm trying to say here. Daily lives can really be impacted by this, because how much more clear our minds would be, how more freeing and mobile our bodies are, that when we go about life, it doesn't feel like everything is just tight in tension and it just feels like super, super stressful. So I hope these tips were encouraging and helpful, and just knowing that giving yourself that permission, because only you can do this, right? Nobody's going to schedule this for you. And if they did, do you know what to do from that point forward? Probably not, unless you create the intention to set this for yourself and honoring and serving your body, mind, and soul, giving your physical the rest and recharge while your mind and your body, everything's going to be so much more happy, lighter, freer, and just you're going to come at it the next morning, and hopefully in your morning routine, you have a place in your routine to really incorporate gratitude. So if you're more grateful, you'll be more productive as well because you'll be more refreshed and recharged. So it's like a win for everyone and everything. So I don't know about you, but I've been feeling a whole lot better once I've incorporated some of these tips into my daily routine, and especially my nighttime routine as well. So if these were helpful, definitely let me know. Come partake in the conversations in the Confident Woman community. Shoot me a DM if there's anything that you're like, I just can't quiet my mind, or how do you X, Y, and Z? Hit me up. I definitely want to hear from you. I want to learn from you, and I want to help in a whole empower others to really find a place that works for them. So if there's tips that are working for you, great, let me hear them, because it's more the merrier. We're just in a place where we can really share and empower each other to create a life they love and to be our best and most confident selves. So until next time, take care. Hey there. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of the Confident Woman podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did, please be sure to like, subscribe, and leave us a review. Thanks again for listening.